Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me again for another episode. In today's episode, I am joined by another incredible woman that I have gotten to know as a friend and someone who has been just so amazing. She has such an amazing personality and such a great story. And today I just want to highlight her and feature her here on the podcast. So please help me give a warm welcome to Camille Richardson.
Hi, Gabby. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. I'm so glad that we get to sit down and kind of chat about you and all the things. So yeah, I mean, tell everybody about yourself and what you kind of been doing, because she been
Sure.
traveling, y'all.
Girl, I won't be sitting still, but hi everybody. My name is Camille Richardson, as you already know, and Gabby said. I am totally blind from birth. I have a condition called Leber's congenital amaurosis, LCA for short, which basically is another way of saying my retinas did not form right. So I have light perception. I am originally from Raleigh, North Carolina. And I have a business. I'm a business owner. I have a company. It's called IC Technologies, and we are a consulting firm. And we work with organizations, corporations, and different government agencies, and we provide training surrounding inclusion and workforce wellness. And I'm also a motivational speaker. So that's a little bit about me and why I don't sit down.
That's so funny. Yes, I'm telling you, she booked and busy. Um, so Camille, I mean,
Mhm.
I think that we've had some amazing conversations, the two of us, about so many different things. And today I just kind of want to chat with you about kind of what inspired you to get into what you're into now, consulting, and kind of like what led to that, to you
Sure.
wanting to build that.
Sure. So when I first started IC Technologies, I started out as an assistive technology trainer. So I was teaching people who were blind and visually impaired how to use their accessibility software, their screen
Mhm.
readers on their iPhones and their iPads. And I was also teaching people how to use JAWS for Windows. So things like that. And I was working more with people who lost their sight later on in life.
Mhm.
Because a lot of times when people lose their sight, it can be very isolating. You know, you feel like you're not connected to anybody in the world. You
Yeah.
feel like you don't have your independence anymore. So being able to use assistive technology was a great way for them to, of course, get reconnected, regain their independence, not have to ask their mom or sister or anybody to like slide into their DMs on social media, you know?
Right.
But I evolved IC Technologies. My sister, she worked in corporate America for a long time and then
Mhm.
she retired. And so um, I realized that as I was working with people, part of the goal was to become gainfully employed as well, but they were having a hard time of it. And I know that story because I have also been through that exhausting job hunt and to keep on hitting
Right.
that brick wall of rejection, right?
Hmm.
So when my
Yeah.
sister joined, I realized there was an opportunity for me to evolve this into educating people in corporate America and in government agencies and even nonprofits and beyond about how to be inclusive to people with disabilities, but also any marginalized group. We talk about those kinds of things. How can you be inclusive? How can you get rid of those biases that
Right.
people have? So that is how we evolved into consulting. I'm the one who has a lot of the ideas. My sister is the ideas and the operation. She brings that corporate part of it because I was not in corporate America.
Yeah. I mean, that's
Mhm.
incredible to just know that, like, because I think you're right. Like, one of the biggest things is just feeling like you want that independence, but you don't want to have to feel like you constantly have to ask someone else, like, hey, can you do this for me? Could you do this for me? So I think it's incredible to see that one, you built something where, people can feel like, listen, I'm learning this because I want to learn it. I'm learning it because it's something that I see a need for. And I think that there's definitely a need for that in the world. And I mean, has there been challenges that you faced like trying to put this all together? Or do you feel like it's been, you know, being a woman who's also blind yourself, like do you feel like it's been kind of easy to say, okay, here's how it should flow, here's how we should make this, kind of build on this?
For me, the challenge was I was in my own way.
Mhm.
I kind of was dipping my toe in that pool of entrepreneurship and never really jumping all the way in because I was not confident in myself for a while. Of course, I've done a lot of the self work, and I've done a lot of development, but for a minute, I was definitely standing in my way. I felt like I didn't know enough, or who was going to listen to me? I wasn't enough. But once I got out there and started sharing my story and sharing the stories of others, I started realizing that people really do need to hear what I have to say. They need the work that I'm doing. They need
Mhm.
to learn more about how to be inclusive, learn more about the benefits of bringing people in to their business with disabilities. And I just really felt like I was able to make a difference, but I had to get out of my own way. The people wanted to hear me, but I just didn't think I was enough. But now, I mean, that I've got my confidence, I'm rocking and rolling.
Right, exactly, as you should.
Mhm.
Because I think like it's it's so different when you build something. You hear about all these different things and whatever, but sometimes it's different when you can see somebody that one has personal experience with the things that you're going through, right? And I feel like that's a major thing. I'm sure a lot of these individuals are like, okay, like here's another, woman that's doing this, and it gives me the courage to know that like I can achieve a goal. I can push past the challenge and that obstacle and create something better that I want for myself. So I think that's really, really amazing to hear about your story and how it like really has just kind of pushed you into like growing, building on what you know and just kind of learning from that. I think that's amazing.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because again, when I do speak, I'm sharing my story throughout my talk. You
Right.
know, um, I talk about how my early career search was fraught with difficulties. And a lot of times, people weren't even trying to hide the fact that we're not trying to hide it. We're not trying to hire anybody blind. But of course, they can't
Mhm.
outright say it. But the whole, don't call us, we'll call you, and then you don't get the call back and
Right.
whatnot, dealing with that kind of rejection. I have been there and I share that story, but I also, again, share the story of overcoming and really doing that pivot because before, when I was going through that rejection, I decided, you know what, I'm gonna step into a world that I know will accept me at this time. And so I became a massage therapist because I knew that they readily welcome people with disabilities in the massage
Right.
industry. So,
Wow.
yeah, girl, shout out to the massage industry because they are really open-minded.
Yeah. No,
Hmm.
100%. No, that's wow. I mean, you're right. Like just I've had my fair share of just, yeah, we'll call you. I've had people discriminate against me and not give me a job because they thought I wasn't capable enough. Um, so I mean, you sharing your storytelling is, I've been learning a lot about this recently. Storytelling is so important because it's not only you getting to highlight and talk about the things that have impacted you, but it's also giving other people, like I said, a chance to say, oh, that gives me hope to know that I don't have to feel so alone in a journey where, we all have it.
Mm-hmm.
We all get in those days
Mm-hmm.
where we're like, oh, I'm the only person going through this. And then you
Mm-hmm.
meet somebody else and you're like, oh wait, you went through that too? And you're like, yeah. And yeah,
Because we do that a lot, especially, we're looking at people's journeys and we're just like, oh my gosh, they seem to have it all together. But it's like, oh
hmm
no, honey, I go through things just like the next person. I have been through that exhausting job hunt. I have been, even in business, I've been at that point. Being an entrepreneur is an emotional roller coaster at times.
it is.
And you have those times where you're just like, am I doing the right thing? Or is this the right thing for me? And then, you know, you just wake up the next morning after you've done that and gone through that little pity party, and you're like, yes, it is. This is what I'm supposed to do because I have a platform that I can use to spread awareness, and I can create opportunities for other blind people by sharing my story with the world.
Right. Right. And that's so special. So I mean, speaking of you experiencing things like everybody else does, I want to talk about, what it was like growing up for you being visually impaired and how
Mhm.
you feel like that's, how you feel like the world's maybe changed a bit or gotten better, or how you feel like maybe now reflecting on your own journey a bit.
Sure. Well, I am just a little older than you. So
Yeah,
I will
but
tell you,
that's
girl.
okay.
Now, I'm not saying that to say that I'm old, but I'm
Right.
saying that I do rem there was times. Okay, so I grew up in a very, very supportive family.
hmm
My mother was my rock, my foundation, all of that. She made sure that I was able to use my voice from a very early age.
hmm
She made sure that I was as independent as I could be because she knew that her blind child was going to grow up to be a blind adult. So she prepared me and equipped me for the world that I was going to be living in. But I do remember the days of not easily being able to access things. I was that bridge generation where we did not have the internet until I was in upper elementary, middle school. Like you don't know life without the internet, girl. I do. And not being able to have just access to everything at your fingertips.
Right.
Um, and while, we made it work, it was great because of course, I had Braille. I did have some audiobooks because I'm an avid reader, and I was back then, but not very much access to unabridged audiobooks then.
hmm
So I love the evolution, especially of technology. The fact now that I don't have to go into the grocery store and have a customer service person assist me. I can just jump on Instacart real quick and get my groceries and have it
Right.
delivered to me. I don't have to ask anybody for a ride anymore. I can just open up a ride share app and have a ride within minutes. I always tell people that is the closest I'll ever come to having a car.
hmm
And I love it. People ask me about, well, isn't it a bit expensive? And I'm like, I mean, it can get a little pricey, but for me, the peace of mind is worth it. I can now be autonomous. I can decide when I come and go. And that's
Right.
something I'm sure you can relate to as a blind person, being able to set your own schedule.
hmm No, you're
Um,
absolutely right. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut
mhm.
you off.
No, go ahead, girl.
Oh no, I was just gonna say you're absolutely right. I mean, you know, it's it's one of those things where you see other people and you're like, man, I wish I could just get in the car and drive and not have to think about, well, how am I gonna schedule this and how am I gonna plan this? And so it's like when you are able to access those things, you're right. It does give you that more sense of, okay, this is the freedom I have where I can now know that I can get in a car, get in an Uber, and go take care of what I got to take care of. Um,
Hmm.
and I just love that your mom has, was always so supportive and making sure to instill in you that you have a voice and that it is important to use your voice because I think that's a big thing that as kids sometimes you have the people that are like, oh don't talk about that topic, or let's not mention that, you know what I mean? But
Hmm.
to have a mom that's like, No, use your voice and talk about what you're experiencing or talk about what you need because that it takes some people a really long time to even learn that as they grow up. So I think that's really beautiful.
Oh yeah, self-advocacy is very important. It's very near and dear to my heart, and it's something
Hmm.
that, when I am, in working with people in the blind community, I always let them know that you are your biggest advocate. So you
Yeah,
have to say what it is you need because nobody's going to know.
right.
It's very
A-
important.
Absolutely. I think that there's so much miscommunication of like how advocacy why it's so important because I think sometimes you have like for me I had a very similar experience where growing up my mom she was very much like okay like we're going to instill in you that level of independence, we're going to make sure how to use your voice and how to speak up for what it is that's important. But I
Mm-hmm.
think I didn't really understand that until I was really dealing with the lack of accommodations I had in school or dealing with people that were just thought that they could say or act any type of way because they're like, "Oh, it's the blind girl. We don't have to." You know what I mean? And I'm sure you've had those experiences.
Oh, absolutely. And I'm grateful that my mother prepared me for that. Like you said, I mean, I grew up in such a wonderfully supportive family and I
Hmm.
still do have very good friends that it was kind of a shock to me when I got out in the world and people are just like, okay, like you don't have the accommodations you need and I really had to get out there and start really using that voice. She prepared me for that, I
Right.
wasn't I wasn't floundering because I
Hmm.
already knew that this was going to happen. So I got to really get out there and test those skills that I was given.
Learning that at a young age is so crucial because you do grow up to really become, and I think that's why I don't know if you did you ever attend any like blindness programs growing
Oh
up?
yes. I did all the summer camps, all the programs, the transition programs when I was a teenager, the college
Hmm.
prep stuff. I did it all. I
Yeah,
was very much immersed in the blind world. I got the best of both worlds. I was immersed in the blind world, but I also had sighted friends.
yeah.
So I had a mixture.
That's it's the same like myself. I
Hmm.
did the same thing. I went to all the programs like every summer. It was like especially from when I was like 5 or 6, I would do
Hmm.
the summer camps. I would
Hmm.
do the summer programs, whatever. So I mean, even that, like for me personally, it was helpful because when
Hmm.
I lost my sight, my mom, she didn't really know, okay, how do I help my daughter, and I
Hmm.
think that by her putting me in these programs, she was able to say, okay, she's clearly adjusting and getting
Hmm.
on, all good by herself, learning how to do
Hmm.
these things. And that's why it's so I think when I meet like little kids that are in the blind community and their mom's like, "Oh, they just went blind last year or they just went blind." I'm like, "Oh, okay. Well, it's I loved those programs for the fact that I met so many people that I became friends with that not only were just good friends, but also who were in different journeys and things with their own blindness, and I got to learn from that, and that's why I thought it was
Hmm.
so special.
And it was also really cool that um, both of our mothers allowed us to lead the way, even as children.
Mm-hmm.
We showed them what we needed, or there. My mom always said, I used to ask her that. I said, "Mama, how did you handle the fact that you have a blind child?" And I have two older siblings. And
Mm-hmm.
she said, I just followed their lead and your lead. She said, they just played with you like regular and you just went out and played with them and played in the dirt and did everything. She said, I didn't stop you. I didn't shelter you. And
Yeah.
that's what I truly appreciate that, it sounds like your mom did the same.
Mm-hmm.
We showed them, we led
Right.
the way and they allowed us to lead. She made sure that things were accessible for me.
Mm-hmm.
She and my sister are very good in that way. I always say that they understand me on a very intuitive level. It's like
Mhm.
they already know how to adapt the environment for me. And that was from a very early age. Um, and my mom was the same way. Like you said, she wasn't going to stop me. I was kind of like you, where I sometimes would hold myself back
Yeah.
because my family, if I told them I wanted to fly a plane, they'd be like, "All right, well, we're gonna go to the airport tomorrow. We're gonna meet a pilot." I'm like, "Wait, wait, wait, hold on now." I was
Right.
just joking, but y'all serious. Like, there's nothing in their mind that I cannot do, and I love that
Right.
because it helped me see that as well.
Right. That's beautiful. I really love that. So you've been making content. I've been following you on Instagram.
You
How's that
know,
been going for you?
I'm doing my social media thing, out here trying to get my little TikTok on and everything. It is
Has
very
it been, have you
different.
enjoyed it? How long have you
I,
been making content now?
I have, of course, we've all in the social media era forever, but I've
Mm-hmm.
really been focused on creating content probably within the past couple of months. I've really been trying to make sure that I put things out there on all of the pages.
Mm-hmm.
I really want to, especially now, really educate people on blindness.
Yeah.
I really want to show people that we are fabulous. We live our best lives. We're business owners. And so you just get to take a look at my everyday life. What is my skincare routine? What, when people ask me, are you blind? What do you see? I explain that in some videos. Um, I am just all about providing that look into my life. And
Mm-hmm.
also, I did that as well because you don't see, there are some blind content creators, of course, but there are not a lot of Black blind women content
Right.
creators. And so I said, I need to get out here and create it and be that Black blind content creator. So that was my mission and purpose. So that's why I'm doing it. It's a lot of work, but I don't mind putting in the work so that, I can represent.
Right. And you've been doing a what, girl? I'm always like every time I literally was on Instagram right before we got on the call and I was like, "Oh shoot, Camille posted something already?" That's crazy.
I
So
gotta do
I've been
everything.
seeing your content. You've been doing amazing with it. And that's one thing. It's been inspiring me, honestly. Like I love when I get
Really?
to, yeah, I mean, truly, because sometimes I get, like I said before, like I get in my head too much. And when that happens, it's like, oh, well, can I make this because I don't have somebody to film it for me? Um,
Mm,
you know what I mean?
I know exactly
Or
what you
do I
mean.
just do it and just say what the heck, you know?
Well, well, the thing for me too is I'm very real, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like y'all gonna get this blind content. Y'all know that I'm blind, so if something's a
Right.
little off or something might be out of the frame or whatever, it is what it is. You're gonna get the good, you're gonna get the mistake or whatever, because again, like you said, we're out here doing this solo dolo.
Right.
So the fact that we're doing it is enough, you know? And
Exactly.
and the thing is, as we do it, it only gets better. So, I mean, I've watched your pages as well, and you have been creating quite a bit. I mean, you're doing what you're doing really well, and you know more than I do, girl. So
I mean,
let's
but
say
we
that.
help each other out because there's some things that I've
Yes.
I've learned recently from you, and I've been like, oh my God, I didn't even know that I could do that.
And even with you, I'm learning how to put tripods together and all this. I mean, it really is quite the adventure, but I'm really enjoying it though. It's a lot of fun because I'm
Yeah,
like, well, I get to be cute and just,
right.
be me, have a good time and just let people see it.
Exactly. Because I've seen the videos and things you've put up, and I've been like, oh, that's actually really like, I love that, she talked about this, or I love that, you showed people what's your skincare routine. Because honestly, y'all, sometimes people will just assume without really getting to understand who you are as a person.
Mm-hmm.
And I think for you to be able to say, you know what, listen, I'm gonna let you in a little bit to what my life is like, what I do in a day, so on and
Mm-hmm.
so forth, because there's so much more to us than just the blindness part. And you've been
Exactly.
showing people what that looks like.
Exactly. That is the point.
So that's been amazing to be
Hmm.
able to talk to you about ideas and laugh about, girl, how hard is it to put this dang light on this
Woo!
tripod?
Gabby, I've called you so many times, like, Gabby, so I got this little tripod. I don't know where this goes. What is this? And just trying to
Literally.
explain, you put this at the top, I think, right there.
Right.
So this has
No,
been
but
fun,
it's
and I
a
have to
fun
thank
journey.
you.
It's a fun journey to
Yes.
be on.
And thank you for being my guide, because girl, I tell you, I don't know if I would do this without you. I tell everybody about you. I'm like, yeah, I
Oh,
got my
you're
friend
so
Gabby
sweet.
now. She's a content creator too, and she's really helping me out.
Oh, I'm so glad. Yes. I'm so
Hmm.
glad.